do. There we go. Finish this up today. Just down a bit. There we go. Yo, Fox. Yeah, I can do it that way. Do it this way. There we go. Move it over a little bit. There we go. Much better. Hello, Pablo. Alright, I think got everything. Still debating on if I should color the horns a different shade. I'm leaning more towards yes, just so they stand out compared to the hair. I tried using this color last time, let me see it again. Just to be sure. Nah, I think I would keep it as the hair color because whatever effects I do to it, like to make it shiny, that'll stand out. Yeah, this one's adopted. I was working on her last stream. Yeah, I think I got all the details. Alright. So let's start shading. I don't need this open anymore. They cook or bake, mostly make sweets, but she's currently working at a ice cream parlor in I Had Secrets. Hello, Alex. Or good morning, I should probably say. Ooh. There we go. I had lore. Yeah, I figured this stream I'd spend time working on characters that have been in limbo for God knows how long. So since I was already working on this one, figured I'd finish her on stream. Okay. Speaking of which, let's pull up her artwork over here. And I'll put it on this side. So based on how her horns are, I could try to do the whole fancy stuff. So let's shade this a little bit more in. And granted, there's always more layers I could use to make this easier if it becomes a challenge. I'm gonna base the horns off of her original art. Like, she's a relatively simple character once you get past the coloring part. I mean, for me, that applies to a lot of characters because since I've streamlined most of my shading process, the only actual challenge now is just, you know, the line art in terms of, you know, getting their anatomy and poses right, and then of course there's the fucking coloring. I would say coloring is harder, personally. That's just because it's like an agonizing hell. Especially if you're like using a character constantly, so like in a comic or whatever, and they're constantly changing positions. That means you gotta pay attention to all their patterns. Like with Bobby in I Had 2, I had to pay attention so fucking hard to his patterns. Because some of his patterns I could get away with being in in off positions, but then there's like ones that are like, you know, super noticeable, where it's like, oh shit, I should probably pay attention. So there's only so many shortcuts you can take before you gotta lock in. And let's darken part of her eyes a bit. But I hope everyone's doing alright. Yep, my day is going pretty well so far. People seem to like the Year of the Snake set that I put out, so that's a good thing. Yeah, I've had the ending planned for like a long ass time, with some minor changes here and there based on either viewer feedback or like just discussions with friends and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting once I start that back up. Because there might be another chapter, so there might be 4 chapters instead of 3, and that's mostly based off of me cutting chapters 1 and 2 so short compared to previous ones, and that's been for, you know, the reasons I've said, where changing up art styles and stuff like that. But I mean, the story is still overall the same. Like, nothing was removed in terms of ideas and stuff like that. It's just placements of stuff and changing art styles or shading methods and stuff like that. So overall, content wise, nothing's been left out, although I do want to do a in between chapter for both I Had 2 and Black Circus, because there are 2 scenes I want to do, but like they're not technically necessary, but I don't want to leave them out. So I'll probably just do like a mid-chapter thing where it's really short, and then I'll do a time skip. Because aside from that, like there's no other like major event that happens outside of those 2 short moments. Hatsune Miku is available in Fortnite. That's interesting. I mean, at this point, I shouldn't even say how many chapters there are. If it ends up being like 10 chapters and it's 10 chapters, I should just say that it's going to be as long as it has to be, because that just makes more sense to say. It's like, it's as long as it needs to be. Literally, you are one of the rare few adding weight gain to their vor, surprisingly. Really? I thought most people add weight gain to their vor. I mean, I know there are artists and artwork that it just shows the vor and then the vor goes away and only adds like just to the thickness to some areas, maybe like bigger boobs, bigger thighs, bigger ass, but not like a staggering situation. But I mean, everyone's different. Like, sometimes I see it, sometimes I don't. Just depends on the story and artist. But that's probably because I deep dive in like everything. Because like I've been into this shit. Like, okay, actively looking at the art, like going out of my way to find it, type of thing. I've been doing that since I was like 12 or 13. Seeing the artwork, that's been around since I was like the early 90s, at least for me, because, you know, I was born in 88. So I just saw that naturally in cartoons, so that wasn't even like a seeking it type of thing. It was like, nah, it was just there. Old cartoons did it all the time, whether it be for weight gain or any other gimmick that ended up being like a kink or fetish to people later down the line, because you would learn that all of those things have their own audience, which is great, because that means, you know, if there's an idea you want to do, chances are there's going to be an audience that likes it. Like, hell, roboticization from the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, or, well, not the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic SatAM, is a gimmick / kink that people draw a lot, or at least they did back in the day. I don't know if they draw it as often as anymore, because not many people know about that gimmick anymore, because it was never used in the Sonic games, but it was used in the cartoon show and comics. But yeah, pretty much any gimmick can be a kink or a fetish, and it just boils down to somebody taking the idea and doing something with it. That's basically it, really. It's not hard. I was trying to tell my friend that she should try to start drawing or whatever just for fun, and she's like, no, I'm not talented, I don't know how to do that. I was like, that's why we learn. There's tutorials if you want. And she's like, no. I was like, okay, I'm just saying, it's right over here. Nah, she's the type that won't do that. Like, the best I can do is suggest it, but she's the type that won't do it. It's a shame. She does like the stuff that I draw though, but she just not the type to try it herself. And to be fair, a lot of people think that about art, where they think that you have to be born talented in order to be a good artist or something, not realizing that almost any skill can be learned. Like, obviously, if you're trying to do like physical stuff, like, you know, that involves like sports and all that, it could vary, because, you know, some people have an easier time than others. You know, whether it be physical traits or just learning ability and stuff like that, like that's fair. When it comes to things like, you know, playing games or art, I feel those are things you could learn if you put in time. And some things are easier to, and granted, some things are easier to learn than others. Like, you know, looking at anime art style might be harder to understand than like just cartoony style. That type of, yeah, exactly. Like PewDiePie. PewDiePie only spent like 10 minutes a day or so practicing art, and it took him, what was it, 3 months to get to the point where he was at the time, and that everybody got all upset for, of how quickly he got good. And granted, he had already said he had some bit of art experience beforehand, but even then he didn't think it was like, you know, anything to really wag a finger to. But like, he put in the time and got better overall. And then after he did the 90 days, he kept going, and he fell into the artist trap, where he did like where he has like his favorite pieces of art that he's done, and then he like couldn't figure out how to do it again. And so he was like, you know, trying to figure out like, oh, was that just a fluke? Or, you know, he was having oh fuck, I had the phrase in my head. Oh my god, why am I blanking on the word for it? Imposter syndrome. There we go. So he was having those moments. He was like trying to figure. He literally went through all the shit that all artists go through. And it's like, yeah, he's learning. he's going through the same shit we all did. So yeah, he put in the time. He's going through the experience. And as far as I'm concerned, I feel you should keep going. Does he plan on doing it professionally? Probably not. But as long as it's something he enjoys, I say keep going. Or do it as often as he wants. It's just funny how some people were getting pissed off about it. It's like, oh, I've been drawing for X plus years, and then PewDiePie suddenly gets good in like less than a year. And I'm like, yeah, that's his journey. Focus on yourself. If it takes you 10 years to reach a particular level, then it took you 10 years to get there. If it takes less time, then cool. If it takes more time, then it just takes more time. I mean, the only thing you have control over is yourself. Don't worry about how easy it is for other people, whether it be streaming or art, or you know, people making ridiculous amounts of money for practically no effort, or you know, whatever mentality you have of it. It's like, yeah, I can agree that sometimes it's shitty where, you know, somebody can make a shit ton of money by watching other people's work. Sure. But at the end of the day, that's, you mean, you have no control over that. It is what it is. The best I can say for those type of situations is try to take advantage of it. So like, for example, if a popular streamer watches a video you made and then people it like, you know, does amazingly well, hopefully some of those people drip into you, like, you know, drip into your content and come see what else you've done, and then, you know, you just keep it up, try to get better. I mean, there really isn't much else you can do after that. Just focus on trying to do something amazing. And I mean, the same talk goes to, like, you know, leak content. It's like, you know, if my stuff gets leaked out, not much I can do about it. Could I go crazy about it? Sure, but I'd rather just try to use it to get more traffic. And if people have certain questions and stuff like that, and I feel the need to answer, then I will. But freaking out over it isn't gonna help. But yeah, I can agree that, you know, it is shitty where, you know, you spend months and months and months working on something, and you finally put it out, it does okay, or it doesn't do well at all, or maybe you luck out and it does amazing, but it does suck where you spend all that time, you barely get any attention, and then a random person watches your stuff, they make bank, and you barely get any of the rewards from that. So it's totally understandable, and it can be discouraging and heartbreaking, because it's like, man, I spent all this time doing this, and then some asshole just watches your stuff, and they make like 50 grand off of watching your stuff, or however much they make from it. Like, I'm just throwing out numbers here, but yeah, like, I totally get it. That's why animators have such a hard time on YouTube, because back then all you needed was views. You didn't need watch time, you just needed the clicks, and that was it. But then they changed to watch time, and sometimes animations are very short and you don't make much off of it. Leaked posts, yep, I'm sure quite a bit of my followers found me through leaked content. And that's perfectly fine, because you know what? That's how I'm talking to you guys today. Would it be super special, awesome, amazing if I somehow made a shit ton of money off of my work? Yeah, hell yeah. Like, literally, I don't care about being rich. I only care about making enough money to no longer care about money. Because the moment I don't have to give a shit about that, I can spend more time drawing. That is my main goal, is to not give a shit about that, about whether or not I have enough for bills and shit like that each month, or whatever else I need to worry about, like car maintenance or whatever bullshit. At the moment that becomes a factor, I'm like, cool. It's like, cool, you mean I can spend longer just drawing fat bitches and big titties? Alright, cool. I just hope he remembers this when like, I mean, I'm sure I'm gonna remember everybody. I'm not the type to do all that, but it would be interesting if I ever go beyond. Like, I don't know, like, what's the best way to say it? If I ever somehow reach, like, I don't know, PewDiePie level in terms of like notoriety, then that'll be an interesting arc to see where that goes. But I definitely don't want to fall into the whole having to water down content. I hate the idea of that. It's like where everybody no longer curses or tries not to curse as much in their videos because of YouTube's well, it's not even their policy, it's just the algorithm, where they get like less attention if they curse too soon in their videos. But then it just like their vocabulary just becomes dumb when they try to replace certain words with like goofy words. And it's like, guys, what are you doing? It's like, to me, it just shows they don't have the balls to commit. But I also totally get it. It's like, hey, you know, make that money. I'm not gonna shun you for making money, but I am gonna judge you slightly for not standing your, or taking your stance, or standing your ground, I should say. But it is what it is. Alright, I think all of these are done. Yeah, so let me play. Where are you? There you are. Come on, load. Why are you taking forever to load? Thank you. We don't. Yeah. We can skip that one. Big tits and big bitches. Making family-friendly porn because it's sponsored. I mean, obviously, if I were to make like certain videos or whatever that are like going off of YouTube, if I were to make like an animation and it'd be like, you know, adult content, obviously I wouldn't be able to post it on YouTube. Which is why YouTube should just make a adult version of its site, but you know, whatever. Even though card companies and whatever is like, oh, we want to do family-friendly stuff, and it's like, bitch, you've been letting people buy adult artwork or adult content for years, and only now are you starting to have it up your ass about it? It's like everybody does it. What are you trying to hide? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying. It's almost as if they had used. Yeah, I know. It's like YouTube Kids is a joke. It literally does nothing. It's basically the same YouTube, just with the comments turned off, and more, and probably more adult content compared to the normal YouTube, in terms of the shit that I've seen being made for it. That copy. Do I have to change that? No, I don't. What if I lessen this was to do? Nothing. What about you? Interesting. For now, I'll keep you like that, and I'll change you later to see what this does. Some of the stuff I'm doing with this character is a bit of an experiment because she has darker colors. Happy Tuesday to you too. Yep, Bomberman music. Well, yeah, because normal YouTube is like, oh, this is for 13 and older, which is dumb anyway. It's like, look, if you're gonna have adult content or support adult content, just make it fucking 18 and older. It's not hard. But the problem is that they're trying to cast their net too wide. And this is what has fucked over other companies, is where they're so focused on family-friendly shit because they want to get, you know, the most audience that they can, that it fucks over other forms of content. And it's like, dude, either just make 2 different sites or like a tab that is for specific ages and leave it at that, or you figure your shit out and, like, you know, moderate your shit. And that's all they have to do. But for some fucking reason, it always feels like a fucking chore to be like, oh, we don't want to make a tab for adults only. And it's like, why? It's like, well, we're gonna lose traffic. It's like, no, you won't, because kids are gonna lie about their age anyway if there's something they want to see. We've all done it. Like, let's not even lie here. We've all looked at shit that we shouldn't have at some point. And then making a tab just makes sense. I had I was doing something on Twitch, and I pressed on something that took me to the home page, and immediately all I saw was just one girl shaking like an energy drink or something between her tits, and that was on the front page. I think it was like in the it was either just normal or it was in the Weathering Waves tab, one of the two. But I was just like, damn, I didn't even have to try. It's just right here. Like, I didn't even have to try to look for it. It was just right on the front page. So it's just dumb shit like that for both YouTube and Twitch. It's like, guys, just make a goddamn tab or make a separate site that supports this shit and make some goddamn money. And when companies complain about, oh, we're a credit card company or whatever, or a Visa card company, then we want to save our shit for family-friendly stuff. It's like, okay, one, you're bullshitting because people have been buying adults content with Visa and MasterCard for decades. And two, you're a card company. Your job is to allow us to spend our money the way we fucking want. You do not dictate what the fuck we spend our money on. That is it's our hard-earned cash. If I want to spend my money on big titty goth women, then I will. Or dragon women, or whatever else fucking exists. It is not their job to be all like, oh, you shouldn't do that. It's like, fuck you. Because at some point, someone's gonna... Because they currently have a monopoly on that shit. But at some point, someone's gonna say fuck it and make their own version of it. Or some kind of sidestepping method to get around this bullshit. And the same happened with, like, Gumroad. Where they're like, oh, we're not gonna have mature content on our site anymore, and everyone's like, alright, peace out. Went to like Ichio or whatever. And it's stupid. It's all just stupid. And I know why Gumroad did it is because of the MasterCard stuff. Trying to say like, oh, we're not gonna work with you if you're selling mature content. And I get it, you know, if something jeopardizes your ability to make money, you're gonna make changes. That's just inevitable. Like, if for whatever fucking reason, weight gain just became outlawed for some fucking unknown reason, and I wasn't allowed to draw it anymore. Well, not allowed to draw it is one thing, but not allowed to post it or whatever is another. So if that was the case, they'd be like, all right, well, how am I going to do this? Because on one end, I'd probably still draw it and just post it on some random ass site that allows it. And then two, I'd probably just have to change up how to go about future stuff. They'd be like, alright, if you guys want the shit that I know you want, it's over here. But, you know, continue trying to support this or else you get less of it. That's basically how it's going to go, if that were to be the case. And it's the same stance I have with leaked content. It's like, you know, people are going to leak my stuff, but if you leak it too much and people start going to find the leaks more than supporting it, then all that's going to tell me is that, oh, people don't want this content, I guess I'll do it less. So there's the trade-off, and I hope everybody understands that in the future if it happens. So that's the best way I can ever explain that when it comes to like piracy. Because despite what most people think, because a lot of people think like, oh, people are just gonna pirate stuff. Like, not necessarily. They only pirate stuff if they're not able to obtain it in some way, or their ability to support it is unavailable. So, like for example, Common Writer. Common Writer has a hard time in America for various reasons. But if we were able to support it naturally, then piracy, well, like, you know, people streaming it would happen less. And sure enough, you know, once they started working with Tokusatsu, and even like put up Kamen Rider Geats on DVD with English subtitles, once they started doing that, people were supporting it. Like, I sure as hell bought it, because I wanted to let them know, yeah, people want this. I bought that. I bought Jetman. I bought Abba Ranger. I bought all the stuff that I had that was very difficult for me to come across. And if I already had it, I bought it anyway to support it, because I want them to keep doing it. And the same thing goes for like the Kamen Rider belts and stuff like that. It's like, you know, if you want them to know that they should be continuing to make this shit, you gotta support it. Because if it doesn't sell, then to them, it just tells them that, oh, it's a bad idea and nobody wants this, we're gonna stop supporting it. And I'm like, no, you idiots. We want this. Pirate from companies, not indies. I mean, people are gonna pirate from indies too, if they have little access or whatever reasons that they pirate. It's gonna happen no matter what. Like Skullgirls, for example. If you pirate the Skullgirls game, a special message comes up to indicate that you pirated. And I remember somebody had pirated the game and asked Mike Z about it, one of the creators of the game. They're like, hey, what does this message mean? And he just straight up said, like, it means you should probably buy the game. And the person was like embarrassed because they got called out. So yeah. And then in some cases, the games will fuck you over if you pirated it. So like Earthbound, for example, if you pirated Earthbound and you get to the end of the game will automatically reset and send you and erase all of your save data and start your game over. And I forget what other games have done, but like other games have had like special pirating countermeasures. But like they would do it in like a fun way, because I think for I can't remember if it was like Call of Duty or some other shooter game, but there was a piracy thing that they put where your hitbox is like incredibly big, so that it's always headshots on you if you pirated. And then I think all of your damage does the lowest it possibly can. So it was either like 0 or one flip of damage. So it's like, yeah, you know, if you're gonna pirate the games or whatever, we'll turn you into a joke. So yeah, like there are ways to combat piracy, but you also have to understand that it's just gonna happen. And sometimes people figure out how to get past the countermeasures, so you can only do so much. Okay, yeah, this is definitely gonna come down to like 70. Yeah. Like, after a certain point, companies just stop. Because, like, when it comes to piracy, you can't technically prove that it's a lost sale. Because if a person was never going to buy it in the first place, then you can't say that you lost a sale. And them pirating it, like, it doesn't take away from anything. Like, okay, the only way piracy could actually matter in terms of, like, a lost sale is, like, let's just say there's only 100 copies of Sonic 2. Only 100 copies exist, and once they're out, they're out. If piracy somehow affected that number, like, you couldn't just make a copy of it, it just takes away from the finite number, then yes, then you'd have an argument. Because you're effectively taking the game without paying for it, and you're pulling from the pool of existing copies. If that was the case, then yes, that would you could prove that it's a lost sale. But that's not how it is when it comes to digital content, or, like, you know, copies of something. And then especially with companies trying to make it so that you don't technically own your copies of games, then it's like, okay, if we don't own our copies of games, then it's not technically stealing if piracy happens. I mean, it never was the case, but still, it's like you can't argue it after if you change it up too much. But who knows, because, you know, setting a precedent is really hard, and then certain companies have different pulls than others. So like with the whole Bowser thing, I forget his real name, or his first name, but the Bowser situation where that guy has to pay them back basically until pay back Nintendo basically until he dies for how much he owes. So, and it's also that, you know, certain judges don't understand how certain things work. They just assume that it's the same thing as stealing or whatever. So there's that problem too, where older people don't understand things. They just see it as, oh, it's a video game, it's not that important type of thing, which is the problem with keeping keeping games like historical records type of thing, where they don't want to support having remote access. They just want it's a whole thing. No, I mean, he was in prison for a while, and then he's out, and he just has to pay back a good chunk of his paycheck from now on, so it is what it is. I'd rather him be out of prison and unfortunately have to deal with that bill than to be stuck in prison forever. You know the webcomic Zero's return? No, I've never heard of it. Let me see if I can look it up just to see. Looks like it's based on Spyro stuff. No, I haven't seen it. But yeah, like the whole situation with Nintendo's a weird thing, because Nintendo's like against It's like, okay, Nintendo will go after websites that have emulators, but then they'll use an emulator for their own stuff. Like for the Super Nintendo Classic, I believe, they were using an emulator for that. If I remember correctly. Oh yeah, yeah. And it's the bit of irony where, because the person in charge of Nintendo is also named Bowser, so Bowser caught Bowser, and now Bowser has to pay Bowser back. If you can wrap your head around that nonsense. Alright. Kinda closing in on as much shading I can do on her. Darken this since her thighs are in the way of that. Think we're good. Darken a bit of her parts of her hair. But yeah, it's just a whole thing. Like, when it comes to like piracy, or you know, people reacting to your content or reposting your content, I mean, there's only so much you can do, and the best you can do is just analyze the situation and try to take advantage of it. Because freaking out over it just hurts you more. Okay. Did all that. Now let's see if we can do this again. Okay, what do you look at? You're at 100. Okay, that's not bad. You're fine at 100. The other one had to be at 70 because it was so fucking dark. Yeah, that's super dark in comparison. Unless I lighten it up when I do the other parts of the shading. So, kind of just depends. But we'll see where it goes. Oops. Save your shit. And I've drawn, to answer you from earlier, Benji, I have drawn Cinder before. I haven't drawn Spyro. I don't remember if I drew him. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Haven't drawn Spyro though, but I probably will at some point. I don't think I'd make a comic around it or anything like that, but... Which reminds me, I need to finish that Sonic spin-off thing that I started a long ass time ago and never finished. It's like I know where to go with it, I'm just like more focused on my own stuff. But I probably should at least attempt to finish it, even if I only do like a page every few months or something. That is not the button I wanted. There we go. Well, the drives are basically done because people have expressed that they don't like relying on them being able to. They don't like having to rely on people to be able to fund each of the projects on their own. And so, if I were to do more like weight gain sequences like those, it's most likely just going to be art sets that I work on over time, the way I did Vanilla's. So, if I ever do make more of that, it'll probably be that method. Why doesn't the witch curse her to stay fat forever? Well, the idea is that it's not the witch that makes Caitlyn fat. It's more that Caitlyn didn't know that she's supposed to do something in order to properly take the collar off without having the recoil effect happening. And so it's more of a accidental situation that happens rather than the witch punishing Caitlyn. Because originally it was going to be like that the witch was going to punish her, but I decided not to go with that idea because it just made little sense. And so now it's going to be that there's just like a special method you're supposed to use the collar for, or do with the collar in order to take it off properly. But Caitlyn wasn't aware of that, and so she gets the bad side of it. Yeah, it just made little sense for Hexiva to curse Caitlyn or do something to Caitlyn. Be more unintentional, and like maybe even Hexiva would be like, "Hey, I would have changed her back if she wasn't cool with being like that." It's like it could be like I was thinking of having like Hexiva see how Lawrence is into Caitlyn, and Caitlyn is being kind of chill about it after they have like a heart-to-heart talk and all that. And then Hexiva's like, okay, I was gonna change her back, but they seem to be fine with it. Alright, and she just pieces out after teleporting the collar back to her. Because it's not like Hexiva can't find the collar. Like, her finding it is like child's play. But Hexiva is a villain character, but in this particular scenario, she just has no reason to be an asshole about it. Well, losing the weight is the challenge for Caitlyn in whatever, because it kind of boils down to what she ends up looking like at the end, and how difficult it would be for her to lose the weight. Because she could be permanently bigger than what she started, but not as big as as the conclusion to that story. It could be like similar to Neutral Marcy, where she was like super huge and then decides to lose weight and only gets like a medium situation, but I decide where that medium is. Like, obviously, like it could be the same size as that Marcy, or it could be a different size, like whatever I'm chill with going with. Oh, the weight gain thing? Like, I can make more, it's just not gonna be the whole wait till a certain goal is met and then I make the next picture. It's just going to be, I decide to start one and then I just work on it over time. So like, for example, if I was going to do one of Marcy's mom, then I make the first picture and then I tease, hey, here's more that's going to come out. It's a work in progress, but if you want to buy it early, you can. And then I just work on it over time. So they can still exist. They just, they're just going to take time, and they're not going to function the same way. They're just going to be regular art sets. That's basically the best way to put it. They're just going to be regular art sets. And not a actual drive. Why did I name it World Gates? Just random choice of words. I just named it the way I wanted to name it. It's also probably because it was like when I first was making like a basic standard part of it, or like the earlier versions of World Gates. Before it, I think I made it like a Kingdom Hearts spin-off, so it was like more of a swap of words. So Kingdom Hearts, World Gates. I mean, it means nothing really, but World Gates is a actual thing in the comics. Like it's an actual. I guess the best way to say it's an object, or it's a actual physical thing. But aside from that, it's just random words. It's like if hell had a taste. That's just, I only picked that name because of a phrase from No More Heroes where Travis says, if challenge had a taste, you'd be quite delicious. So I just took that phrase, changed challenge to hell, and that was the title. That was it. Like, there's no true meaning to if hell had a taste. And World Gates is also just random words that sounded cool. That's all it is. And then in World Gates' case, World Gates is an actual thing. With if hell had a taste, the title means nothing. It has nothing to do with hell. It's just there. I just made shit up on the spot because I thought it was cool. But yeah, back to the whole waking drive thing. Yeah, it's just the drives themselves won't exist because people were getting frustrated with drives taking a long time to complete because either the characters weren't popular or just people weren't supporting it in general. And so it's better to just make it an art set. And I just take my time. And either I can start the art set and put it up and people can buy it early type of thing, they just have to wait for updates. Or I can just take my time, make the set, and then when it's done, put it out for people to buy. Either way, it gets made whenever I decide to work on it. Personally, I'd rather probably just rather probably doesn't even make sense. I would rather make the set first and then put it out to sale. So most likely, if I did start another set, I would just do updates over time on like Patreon and Subscribestar and all that. And then when it's done, then I put it up publicly for people to buy. I mean, it's the same thing that I've already been doing for the Fat Lovers Club. So literally no real difference between the two other than their placement on the tiers. And then I'm thinking of doing a similar thing with the Fat Lovers Club, where similar to the underground collections, where I'll allow people to buy parts of them early, so that way they don't have to wait for the full set to be done like later in the year to be able to buy. So I'm thinking of doing that, so that way it allows people to buy it within a time limit. So like whenever I do a Fat Lovers Club for the month, you'll be like, all right, you guys got a week to buy this part of it, and if you don't, then you got to wait for the full set to come out later. So I'm thinking of doing that, and then like maybe after a good chunk of time, I'll do like a discounted set, because I did the year one bundle, where it's the entirety of year one, and realistically it's like $20 less than if you were to buy all of year one individually. as each bundle's part. So, you know, like wave 1, wave 2, and wave 3. So it's like $20 cheaper. You don't take suggestions for drives? I did for a bit, briefly. Like, I think some of them were voted on, if I remember correctly. And then after that, I was just kind of like, I'll just pick who I want. Because, like, the problem with suggestions, or not suggestions, but it's like voting and some suggestions here and there, I guess, is that a lot of picks become biased. And sometimes there'll be like a character that I would rather see than some of the popular ones. Like, sometimes I'll pick the popular ones just because I like the characters too. But other times it's like, okay, if I keep allowing this, then we're never gonna see certain characters. So, like, even with the suggestions that I have on Patreon and all that, all those are suggestions. They're not concrete. So, like, whatever you guys suggest is not solely what I'm gonna pick. If I think it's interesting enough, then I'll pick them. But if I look through the selection and I don't think the characters that were suggested are, like, you know, interesting enough or don't seem fun or something, then I'll just pick something that I'm interested in. So, like, for example, if everyone's telling me, I don't know, let's just say everyone's telling me to draw Millie from Hell of a Boss. It's like Millie. And let's say another character is like, oh, draw Toadette. So if my only choices are Millie and Toadette, then I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna go draw, I don't know, let's just say Rouge the Bat, for the sake of conversation. So I'll go draw Rouge the Bat instead, because to me that was a better and more interesting choice. So that's my stance on that. That's why I stopped doing voting, because it was getting a little too biased. Favorite G4 pony? Rarity. Rarity is best pony. Let's clean up a little bit of this. This seems a little too out there. There we go. And Bomberman Hero had awesome music. Like, I kind of miss this era of music, because a lot of game music nowadays is a little bit more, what's the best way to phrase it? Orchestrated and dramatic. Like a lot of game music nowadays is like acting as if it's a movie, whereas games around this era, and even indie games, kind of stick to this type of style where it's more theme focused and more like arcadey. That's why, to me, in some situations, like, I think the end of Sonic Adventure 2, the Dreamcast era of Sonic had better music in some cases. But luckily, Sonic has always had good music in most game eras, so you can't really go wrong with a particular era. But I like the more arcadey feel for some of them, because it feels a little bit more, not uplifting, but like more, like you feel more motivated to get through a level. That, and I miss the days of Sonic games kind of slowing down, because a lot of the times, at least in the current era of games, you're just blazing through the levels without really looking at the levels, because they're designed for you to just fly through in like a second now. and I miss, like, you know, the actual platforming of the games where you're actually traversing through the level and you're seeing like all these different like construction artifacts and stuff like that. It's like, oh, look at this, a civilization must have been here or something. Because like in Sonic Adventure 1, the first level, you're right next to a resort, so you're seeing like chairs and umbrellas at the very beginning of the level, and then you leave that area and then you go and see other shit. Favorite Gen 5? I have not watched Gen 5. I stopped at Gen 4. I was like, nah, I'm good. Gen 4 was peak. Alright, move on. Blush Iron Pip. Oh yeah, because I liked when environments in games like told their own story. Like there's always like something hidden, or like just like there's like lore established that doesn't get explained or is left open to interpretation because either the game doesn't tell you or it's like left ambiguous because they might do something with it later. But in a lot of the current Sonic games, it's like, yeah, sometimes they'll add that stuff, but because the game is designed for you to basically blitz through really quickly, you're probably not even gonna notice unless somebody makes a video and points it out. But like, oh, if you pass this tree over here, you'll find this shoe, and this shoe belongs to this character, so does that mean that this character might show up in a later game? It's like, unless you went out of your way to do that, you're not gonna find it in modern games. And again, like in older games, sometimes they did that still, where it's like completely out of the way, but you had the ability to like look for it, not easier, but just like you were more incentivized to look around rather than trying to end the level in 30 seconds. Or I like where secrets are like super fucking hidden. Like the Scarab gun in Halo 2, where you have to glitch the game in order to find it. Discord best pony. Hey, Discord came up in the end. Yeah, like Big the Cat, you had for the Dreamcast version, you had to press buttons to make him appear. Favorite character is Spike. He's cool. I like Spike. I wish they didn't make him all like buff or whatever at the end during the last episode. I wish they made him look more dragon-like, like he did when he had too much of a horde. But it is what it is. I mean, it could be just like a different take of him. Maybe he's not fully grown, so there's a possibility that he could turn into a dragon like that. But at least visually, it just seemed a little wonky for him to look like that. At least to me. Like it wasn't like a deal breaker, but it was kind of a little off. But I do like the fact that they showed that the characters were aging. And I was just like, damn. Because when you look at Twilight, she's basically immortal. I do hate the whole flurry heart thing. I think that was a bad idea. It's like, oh look, a baby that was born as an alicorn, and it's like, everyone's like, what the fuck?
The game's over.
It's like, they completely defeated the point. Oh, 9 seasons, he's still a baby. Yeah. Well, I mean, Pinky has control of her own reality. She can look however she wants. She probably just can't escape aging. And we'll play this just for the hell of it. Oh, what the hell? Wrong one. There we go. Yeah. And plus, we've at least seen Pinky fat like once or twice in the show, so they gave it to us once or twice, and we did see stuffed Twilight in the first episode, so we had that too. So they threw us a bone. But yeah, even then, it's like, oh, what's with all the weight gain stuff? And then I'm like, look, here's your examples here. Like, episode 1, stuffed Twilight. We didn't even have to ask for it. They just did it. Yes, chat, we cover it all here. Shading's taking me a little longer than plans, but that's okay. Let's do it normal. Yeah, Cake Celestia, which spanned into its own fan art. So yeah, they've given us enough where we can just make our own shit. And then the fact that they made that episode that addressed fan feedback, that was like another like, all right, they know what the fans want. It's like, oh, here's Lyra and Bonbon sitting on benches. Nah, it's fine that they. Okay, I will say I wish they had kept the art style from Gen 4, and that probably would have made me watch Gen 5. But I'm fine with them using new characters and like even saying that it's like later down the line or something like that, like decades or centuries later. Like that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I think for me it was mostly just the art style that had me not want to watch it. Yeah, and having Twilight there would have been better too. They had them fighting herds and the characters. Yeah, it's unfortunate what happened with that game. But fighting herds was definitely fun time. I had fun playing as fuck, what's her name? I'm blanking on her name. Shit. Fuck, what is her name? Great, now I gotta look this up because it's gonna fuck with me now. What is your name? Velvet, there we go. I have the figure of her and I still forgot her name. But yeah, it sucks what happened with that series. But for when it was around, it's a fun game. Grumpy Alicorn Twilight. Do. Alright, let's see, is there any other music I could probably play? Well, I guess we're gonna find out. Guess we're gonna find out if I'm able to play this on stream or YouTube. This is how we learn. Luckily, I'm learning this now before anything important happens. And these are random strings. And it's playing random music from robots. There we go. Yeah, this is the Game Boy Advance music. And it's really fucking good. I was like, why the hell does this random ass movie game have fucking bitchin' music for the Game Boy Advance? It's one of those hidden gem moments where you're just sitting there going like, what the fuck? It feels like 90s video game music. Am I waiting for Gen 6? If they're even making a Gen 6, I'll check it out. If it's any good. The funny thing is that they teased a chibi version of Gen 4 like a long ass time ago. And they did like what, like 1 or 2 episodes of it. And then that's when they jumped to Gen 5 and I was like, what? Toy Story Sega Gen, yeah. There's a lot of old video games with really good music. The hard part is being able to play some of them because some people sample those music for their own music, and it gets caught on like YouTube ID, and it's like that doesn't make sense. This song's existed well before your fucking song existed, so it's sometimes a challenge because it's not like sampling's a bad thing, but it sucks when people are trying to claim certain parts of the sample. It's like, dude, your music didn't exist when this came out. There's rumors of a more adult Gen 4. I mean, Gen 4 was pretty decent for adults to begin with. They honestly don't need to do anything. They just make more stories if they want to bring back Gen 4. They don't have to make it more adult. Eloquent Twilight with a very chubby cougar butt. Ha. If Twilight had the balls for that kind of fun, she would have done it. That's like more of like Rarity became an Alicorn or even became Nightmare Rarity from the comics. Almost done. We're getting there. Well, Nelly. I feel like I should know who that is. Oh yeah, I didn't even know that was her name. I like that one pony. I forget her name. The one who was constantly posing with was it Fancy Pants? I forget which pony it was, but it was like that supermodel pony who was with who meets Rarity in like every frame. She's like in a different position. Like, she was fun. I wish they did more with her. I think it was Fancy Pants because Stinking Rich is the other one. I think her name was like something Floor or something like that. Let me see if I can find him. Hold on. Yeah, okay, it was with Fancy Pants, but what was his friend's name? Waiting for the site to load. I was like, okay, what was her name? Okay, there's them, but what is the one that I'm thinking of? What was her name? No, not them. The other one. Good lord. No, I see her right there. I just don't know what her name is. I'm trying to find it. Oh, her name is Fleur de Lis. I'll put her name in the chat. Or I'll just go find her and put a link to her. Fleur de Lis, MLP. Copy. This character. There you go. So yeah, I wish they did more with her just because she was interesting. At least I thought she was interesting. I mean, who knows? There probably wasn't much to her. Like, I knew her name had Flora in it, I just didn't know what the rest of her name was. Yeah, because she meets up with Rarity because Rarity was like making outfits and stuff, and then every scene that you would see her in, she would change positions. So she was always in a different position. And I thought that was interesting. And she had speaking lines, so she wasn't like a silent character. Get some of these nails. Okay, I think we're good on these. Next. Yeah, I think that was kind of a cop out. I mean, it's possible that they changed it for a different reason. Like, I mean, like maybe they found out, hey, we're not gonna renew the season, and so they decided to not go that route or make it all hype. I mean, we'll never know unless somebody speaks out and talks about it. Clean up her eyes a little bit. And need to fix that. Yeah, they were trying to dive into old school Milo Pony, which wasn't a bad thing. So they probably had plans to do more, but then they probably found out that the show wasn't going to be renewed. So they just changed up the plans. It's like, all right, we're not going to be able to go all crazy with this, so we're just going to do this. It happens. I think the stuff that pisses me off is when you cancel a show and then years down the line you get all of the original voice actors back, but instead of continuing the show, you make a spin-off, and the spin-off is just nonsense. Looking at you, Teen Titans. Oh yeah, I should probably fix that. The zebra person was like a rapper. Maybe. That's probably what Zakura is. She's probably like a version of that character, which is why she probably rhymed. That's probably why they had her rhyme all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's like that, supposed to be that character. I can pull back. I don't have to go crazy with that kind of detail. Ah. Yeah, I think whatever ties that were gonna happen with G4, they decided to scrap in case they wanted to return to G4. Which honestly makes more sense. Because you don't want to insert lore that can be inconsistent. I mean, they were already doing that in Gen 5. They're just like saying random shit that may or may not have made sense. But I only saw like a little bit of Gen 5 before I pieced out. I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to do that. A little bit of shine to the boobs. Is it necessary? Not really. And then if it's too shiny, that's what we do this for. Hard to say which parts of her fluff and which aren't. But I think I'm just gonna keep the entirety of her fluffy and only make the necessary parts shiny. Do I still want to do this? I'll leave it alone. I think I only do that with the hair. Seems to make the most sense. Thoughts on MLP's character saying the word hell? I don't have a problem with it. I would say make sure it fits the character. Like whoever's gonna say it, make sure it's something they would actually say. But other than that, yeah. Oh, well, if it's for a commercial, it's kind of irrelevant. I mean, if we're trying to be logical here, like, remember, back in the day, they had a actor play as live-action Mario, and he says, "Don't do drugs. If you do drugs, you go to hell before you die," or some shit like that. So, hearing outlandish things is like, whatever. Oh, G4 outtake? If it's an outtake, then that's fun. Like, just let the, you know, sometimes characters will just, or actors will just say whatever because they fucked up a line. Like Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog saying, damn it, or whatever. So that's just funny. Or Tail saying damn. Add a little bit more to this one, to this horn. Mostly just focusing on hair that's furthest out, furthest shine. I don't want to apply it to everything on her. I wish Chief 4 had 5 more seasons. As long as those seasons were good, yeah. Like, they kept up the rhythm, then yeah, that would have been nice. But, you know, it's fine. Like, it had a really good long run. A lot longer than they originally planned. Because they did not foresee My Little Pony taking off the way it did. So I'm glad that they pushed it as far as they could go at the time. I mean, they had like, what, 2 theatrical movies? And then the rest were straight to DVD or whatever, or specials or whatever. Like, they didn't plan any of that. They were like, what the hell? Why did this show do so fucking well? Okay. Almost done. So select this. Move this up. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, Super Mario Super Show was a good time. Grew up with that. And they did weight gain stuff in that show too. So it all comes, like, in the end, every kink has been done in a cartoon at some point, or at least most of them. I mean, Looney Tunes show, Bugs Bunny becoming fat, Daffy trying to win a hot dog eating contest, Lola eating a shit ton of cupcakes. It's like, come on. Oh, I'll have to try to find a commercial myself. I'll type it in and see if it shows up on YouTube, and then I'll watch it later. I think I see it, so I'll play it later. Yeah, like, it's in everything. I mean, Totally Spies pretty much did that too. They did everything. They did transformations, they did furries, they did weight gain, they did inflation, muscle, whatever else you can fucking think of. Like, aside from doing actual adult content, they pretty much did everything. Because cartoons will always do borderline shit. They'll do the absolute edge before they are considered Tulu. Sometimes they get a complaint here and there, and they end up having to remove the scene or censor it in some way. But for the most part, they pretty much do everything. And I always laugh when people are surprised. It's like, what? I can't believe they did this. Like, dude, have you not been paying attention? It's been there the whole time. Canadians, am I right? Templeton, yeah. But yeah, it's been in everything. So that's why I always just laugh when people complain about stuff like that, because I'm like, dude, either you're blind or you just have very bad memory. The part that gets me is when people try to remove it just because they don't like it. And it's like, if you don't like it, then don't watch it. It's as simple as that. A little bit of shine underneath the eyes, not too much. And aside from whether or not I want to do something extra, the character is pretty much done in terms of basic look. So, since I only got like 15 minutes, I might as well just do some extra shit to it for fun. Alright, so put you all in a folder, so that way this is easier to do. Merge. Well, let's not talk crazy here. Are you talking about Teen Titans or Teen Titans Go? Because there's a difference. Yeah, I did draw Templeton a long time ago. Or I did Nemesis as Templeton. I think I drew Templeton too, it's been a while. Passion Patty, yeah, Passion Patties did it. That was the first Waking episode that they did for Totally Spies, and I was like, fuck. I mean, I saw that. I used to watch Totally Spies before I went to fucking college classes because it came on right before I had to leave. It was that and Arrested Development. Like both of those would come on like before I had to take some college classes. Some of them I had to leave way early in the morning, but some of them I had afternoon classes. And so I'd be watching fucking Totally Spies and that. It's like, yeah, I like Totally Spies. I don't give a shit. It's a great show. Blow the shit out of this. Damn, that's such a dramatic difference. I almost don't want to use it, but maybe I'll just put it down to like 10%. There we go, that's a little bit more subtle. Maybe a little bit less than that. Yeah, there we go. Because her colors is so radical compared to other characters, I'm like, fuck. Referring to Teen Titans Go. Okay, that's what I thought. Like, there was no way you were gonna tell me that you didn't like Teen Titans, or that you thought Teen Titans was the worst cartoon ever if it wasn't Go. If it was anything other than Go, I would have looked at you with pure judgment. The Fob Trixie just deserts her belt. Yeah. I mean, if we look at My Little Pony, there's the Vor episode where Trixie gets eaten by a lion. So there's that. So yeah, like TV shows will just add, or cartoons will just throw in shit that people are into. Like there was this one cartoon, I forget the name of it. I saw like a clip of it randomly on YouTube. It was it had to do with kids, with kid characters, and for whatever fucking reason, there was an episode purely based on farting, and it was just a character waiting for people to fart or like try to sneak farts or whatever, and then he would just huff them. And I'm sitting there going like, I have no idea what the fuck this show is, but why? Granted, not my thing. Never been into that. So, you know, to each their own. But I was just surprised that was like a full episode of a cartoon like that. And I'm sure somebody could say the same thing to, like, you know, the waking stuff and all the other stuff we've talked about. But that one, I was like, wow, I'm surprised they did that. But again, that's me, not into that. So, how I feel about it is obviously going to be clouded based on bias. But yeah. Point is, there's a cartoon that'll do everything. Oh yeah, Total Drama Island did that. Oh wait, that was a preschool spinoff? Is that what that was? No. I don't think it was, because the thing I'm thinking of was in 3D. It was a 3D cartoon, I think, if I remember correctly. And as far as I'm aware, Total Drama never did 3D. Unless they did, and I'm just not aware of it. But yeah, Total Drama did stuff like that too. Mostly fart jokes and adult stuff. Yeah, at this point I'm just doing extra shit. This is all probably unnecessary, but I'm just doing it. Alright, so did all that. Blop. Oh yeah, I'm definitely gotta cover some more of this. She's covered in mustard. Naruto, the episode of Ino screams chubby beard up. Ha, yeah. I mean, it's non-canon, I believe, but they did shit like that anyway. Yeah, like I've said, I've been trying to learn more shit. Trying to suck less at art. Alright, I think I'm pretty much good at this point. Yeah, I think I'm good. Not really much else to do to this. Overlay. Is that too much? I don't think it's too much. I think it's fine. Alright. So got that. And then if I really want to do extra shit, we can make her horns just a little bit shinier. Like, now we're just at like extra shit. Where this is completely unnecessary. So we're just adding a little bit of shine to her horns. I could technically do it to her hair too, but I mostly want to focus on her. Oh, this song is great from this game. So how do you go so fucking hard for this song? For a Game Boy Advance game. You gotta remember, this is Game Boy Advance. Give her bigger belly. Nah, she's fine the way she is. She's already got thick thighs and a fat tail. She's fine. Maybe if I ever do something with her taste testing, she'll get a gut. Yeah, this is all still the fucking robot game. Again, this game went hard on their music. Like, sometimes there are just like old games where they just said, fuck it, I'm gonna sell my soul to the devil and make like the most bitchin' music ever. Oh yeah, I forgot to do that with her. Fuck. Okay, we're gonna have to do this. Luckily, it's doable. There we go. I knew something was missing here. I was like, there's something I didn't do, and that's what it was. Alright, see, this is why I do everything in steps, because that way I know what I'm missing. And it's easy for me to fix it. Alright, so she's basically done. Need a background for her. Move her over a bit. There we go. Her regular background didn't have anything interesting, so I'm gonna have to give her something. No, I do not speak Spanish. The spiral composer was a former band musician. Really? Damn. Okay, let me see what I got that I want to use for a background for her. If I can't find anything, I'll look online. She seems more like a honey type dragon or something. So maybe something related to that. Might be easier if I type this in. Yeah, I can work with this. Come on, wake up. I want to save some shit. But yeah, this music is just like, goddamn. It's like the person who got to work on this song or this music was just like, I've been waiting all my life for this moment, and then they find out that it was for a Game Boy Advance, and they're like, fuck it, I'm gonna go all in, and so they just went all in anyway. Put this in another. Let's save, open, resave it because I don't know why to do this shit. Where is my... Is that it? God damn it. Oh, there it is. I was like, where the hell is the button? I was like, did they move it? Copy. Thank you. Show me the one that I saved, because I'm going to get rid of it. Thank you. Shit. Where did it save? Oh, it's in my pictures. That's where it went. Paste. Thank you. There we go. Doesn't matter. We're gonna change how it looks anyway. Actually, cancel that. We can do this to it first. And it didn't change much. I think I'll just keep the normal version. Yeah, that's fine. Close this. Blur the shit out of this. Let's do 60, just in case. Then let's see if her color is fine. If not, I can always change it. I wish he had his own game. Well, the closest has been Bowser's Inside Story, I think. There might have been another game of that, if I'm not remembering right. But yeah, him having his own game would be fun. Like solely his, like Mario is not involved. Yeah, let's change this. Let's make this darker. Let's go for this. It looks like it's a window for a dummy. That blurred render made me think I was blind. This isn't too bad, but I'm looking for something specific. Yeah. It's one of those things where you're looking for something very specific and you won't know it until you see it. So let's try this. It's not bad, but let's flip it around. A little better, but it's still missing something. So let's try this. Watching YouTube backgrounds definitely has helped a lot. So it's a Bowser battle. Okay, the problem with Bowsette is that they can't use her because it was technically made by another person, even though it's roughly based off of the whole Toadette thing, or the Toadette thing. And they can't technically use Bowsette because of that reason. But they did have that version of Bowsette, or whatever her name is going to be, that they have in the concept art. So they can use that character. It's just a matter of if they are ever going to do that. Okay, so there's this and this. I'm not against this, but I want to do something more to it. So let's try this. So I want this about here. We're gonna select that. We're gonna no. No, wrong one. Oops, wrong button. So delete this. I want it on this side. Select that, delete, get rid of this, so it gives me that effect, and tone it. Let's try 70. Yeah. And then this is the weird part where I'm like, alright, is it too dark? Is it too light? So we're going to do that. See if there's a filter that I like, and if not, then we'll fuck with it. Yeah, that's not open. It's like one of those things where it's like you just gotta keep fucking with it until it looks nice. Might be just one of those things where it just has to be like a fade. Yeah, I think this is fine. She's a difficult character to have a colorful background for. Unless it's like just a straight off color or a gradient. And then just for shits and giggles, let's see if this does anything. Don't hate it. Don't think I'll use it though. Da, da, da. Just one of those days. Kind of want to use that, but there's like a limit to it. Because I mostly just want the middle part. But I think I should just leave it alone. Yeah, leave it alone. Lessen this just a little bit. Yeah, I think this is fine. Sorry, I was ignoring, blah blah blah. We're just gonna say they actually released a concept art and it was all, look, we started Bowser years ago before it was cool, la la la. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you came out with it after the fact, huh? That's what happens when you don't go through with cool ideas. And it sucks because sometimes companies will have like a really cool idea, but then they don't use it because it's either too dark, too violent, or completely does like a 180 to a character or something like that, and they just think they want to stick with the whole family friendly thing. And sometimes that fucks them over because then somebody else comes up with the same idea and everybody loves it, and then they hate themselves for it because it's like, damn it, we could have did that. Because when Bowsette came out, Nintendo's stock actually went up for a little bit, so clearly everybody was into it. And Nintendo, and like even Nintendo had to come out with that little blurb saying like only Toadette can use the Princess Mushroom thing or whatever the hell it was called. So there's like, so and they would say like, sorry Luigi, you can't use it, type of thing, as like a little jab saying that other characters can't use it. But everybody didn't care. They're like, nah, Bowsette's hot, fuck you. So yeah, like Nintendo constantly keeps doing that where they're so focused on being family friendly that they're actually missing out on certain content avenue and stuff like that. Like the same thing happened with Walt Disney. After he started doing, you know, Disneyland and making all the cartoons and stuff, I forget which movie it was, but there was like a movie he saw that was like really mature and stuff like that and really well done. And his comment to it was that he'll never be able to make something like that because his company is so family friendly focused. And so there's like a lot of stuff that Walt Disney wanted to do that he couldn't do just because of the brand. And that's why later on down the line they would buy or make companies, or either buy or make companies like Touchstone, which gave them the ability to kind of make some more mature movies and stuff like that without people knowing that it was part of Disney. Because back in the day, a lot of people didn't know that Touchstone was part of Disney. Nowadays, Disney has like Marvel and the other companies, and Marvel can get away with being more violent and stuff like that, especially with Deadpool and Wolverine that came out. That's like a clear example that they can do that shit. So if Walt was still around, he probably would have been like, hell yeah, we can do something now with all these cool characters and blah 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 blah. And then they released Bowser getting horny for an elephant. Yeah, the Bowser being into Peach being turned into an elephant. He's like, oh, here Peach, here's some flowers. Turns into an elephant. Even better, pulls out more flowers. So you know, goddamn, that Bowser was gonna tap that. Rated ARG. Live action cannibal show based off of the manga. I mean, yeah. It just, the stuff that Walt wanted to do, he couldn't do back then for whatever reasons. Well, I mean, he had the reasons. It's bad, bad timing, and unfortunately, that was when Disney was like building itself up as a family-friendly thing. So he made the choice that he thought was best. Like, I'm not gonna bash him for that. Like, you know, if that was what was helping your company, then you know you make the calls that you gotta make the call or make. So it is what it is. Anyway, so this character's done. I'll bring up her original art just to compare. So I tried to be as close to the original as possible without losing stuff. Take care, Alex. I'm about to get off too. Thank you. Only got to do one character, so maybe tomorrow I'll work on the other ones. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming, and I will see you guys again tomorrow, alright? You guys take care. Bye-bye.